Let's talk about how to create a portfolio instant app from two web maps in ArcGIS Online. We're going to use data from the New York City Open Data Portal, specifically about trees, the tree census, tree height, tree condition, tree problems, etc. We're going to go ahead and open that map that I've already prepared based on the New York City data. I'm going to need to sign in to my ArcGIS Online organizational account because I'm going to actually create content, specifically the web mapping application called the Portfolio app. Okay, what do we need to do? We want to present results with two maps inside of our Portfolio app. So we're going to configure two maps, each with a different attribute of the trees. You're free to pick any attribute that you want. I'm going to pick tree health, and I'm going to use the styles button to symbolize the trees according to their health. I don't like the default colors, so I'm going to make dark for good condition, a medium green for, why not green? They're trees, so let's use green, a medium green for the fair condition, and a light green for the poor condition trees. That makes more sense than a sort of a rainbow color palette there. So let's go ahead and change that. Dark, medium, and light. Because it's an ordinal scale, more of something typically is darker, but it doesn't have to be as long as you're clear about what means what. Okay, well, I'm configuring that right now, and I'm liking that pretty well. I might go into the Styles button just one more time to configure that dark green to something maybe just a little bit less dark. Yeah, something like that. That is more clearly a green color. Okay, let's say done there. And now let's go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to configure the symbology or the style one more time. I'm going to change those circles to triangles. Now we could use a tree symbol if we wanted to, upload our own tree symbol, but to keep things simple, I'm just going to use a triangle for the trees. That seems a little more intuitive than circles. But again, you're free to do what you want here with the Styles button. The important thing, though, is once you've got your tree map configured and styled, we're going to go ahead and save that, and we're going to check later on whether we've shared it with the organization that we want to share it with. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to give it a little bit of metadata, a title, some tags, and a summary. That way we'll be able to find this later on when we need to make perhaps an adjustment to the tree condition map. So I'm configuring it right now inside ArcGIS Online. I'm saving my web map. Okay, now that we've done that, we can go ahead and symbolize the trees a bit differently. Perhaps pick problems, the problems. Okay, and again, you're free to choose another variable if you want to under styles. I'm going to pick problems. You can see it's interfering with the sidewalk and or other problems in there. I'm going to go ahead and bump up the size a bit, and I'm going to leave the default color palette the way it is, but I'm going to change the size, and I'm going to change the symbol to a diamond shape. And well, maybe I will choose a different color palette. Okay, so now I've got the tree problems, and just like the tree condition, I'm going to save that as a different web map. Save it as a different web map. Now I'm going to have two web maps in ArcGIS Online, one for tree condition and one for tree problems. Tree condition and tree problems, each with their own set of metadata here with the tags, the title, and so on. That way I'll be able to come back to these maps if I want to later on. They're both going to be saved in my ArcGIS Online content area. I've got two web maps now, both of trees, but they're symbolized differently. And now I'm going to go in and select Create App, and I'm going to choose the Portfolio app. I can do a search on this Portfolio app, or I can choose it from the gallery of portfolio or from apps. Okay, great. Now I'm going to go ahead and create that app. I'm going to give that a little bit of metadata and a little bit of a title there. So I'm going to call it my New York City Trees. I'm going to put my initials on it, and I'm going to say that it's the Portfolio app. The Portfolio app is going to be a one-stop shop. You're going to be able to give people that URL, and they'll be able to open that Portfolio app and choose two different web maps that you actually have in there. So you won't give them the full ArcGIS Online interface. You'll give them a customized experience that you are setting right here. So I'm going to go through step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4 and configure it that way. A couple of things to note here is that all of this is customizable and you can choose what you want in here. But the point is you're going to choose, most importantly, the 2 web maps that you just saved. So right now I'm configuring the title page, and that is the splash screen, or the first thing that your users will see. I can choose an image, I can choose a video, I can choose something else, but the most important thing is that I've got some meaningful text in here. That, in my case, New York City Trees Portfolio app is kind of cryptic because your end user probably doesn't know or care what a portfolio app actually is. So how about we title it New York City Trees Health and Problems? And here's our assessment. This is what we're going to give to our city managers or our board of directors or our citizens so that they can understand what we're dealing with in terms of the many trees and some of the health issues that the trees are experiencing. Okay, all good so far. And we have stepped through a couple of these, step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. But the most important thing is that we haven't chosen our web maps. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this section zone here. This is in the section zone. So here we can go ahead and go to ArcGIS Online, and we can say, you know what, I really want to choose my 2 web maps that I've created. There's my health map, my condition, I guess I called it a condition map. I'm going to select that one, and then I'm also going to select the problems map. I've got a condition map and a problems map. So I'm going to select both of those, and then I'm going to go ahead and test it out. What do I have so far? So far I've got, that's looking good. I've got my tree problems, and I've also got my tree health or condition. Very nice. I can configure these buttons to give the user experience. Do you want to have them to be able to zoom in, zoom out, get a legend? All those sorts of things you can customize at this point. But notice now I've got two different web maps inside my portfolio app. I have the problems one and I have the tree condition. Very nice. Looking good there. Again, here are the buttons that you can configure and so on. All right, it's looking good, and I'm going to go ahead and publish that and confirm. All right, confirm, and let's go ahead and launch that and see what it looks like at this point. There's our splash screen, our front page, and there's my tree condition, and I can zoom in and see those trees in New York City, and there they are. Great, and that's the condition map, and I also have the problems map inside my portfolio app. So I've got 2 maps inside my portfolio app. Very nice, very good. That's looking good as well. Yep, let's just test that out. Okay, I like that a lot. Okay, great. Now, what else can we do here? One thing that would be very helpful is if we go back to the tab where we're in the edit mode, let's go ahead and make a small adjustment here. What should we do on this portfolio app? Well, one thing we can do is actually adjust the front page or the splash screen. And notice here I've got the ability to add video, text, other things, and that sort of thing. So, or a photograph. So how about if we get a tree photograph? So I can go to my lesson that I have that you are actually working through and go ahead and save that tree in New York City picture, and that's the one I'm going to choose. And I also want to have some text in there. So I'm going to go ahead and edit that front page or splash screen and add a little bit of text. So we give the users a context as to what this portfolio app actually is and why they should care about it. Why should they care about urban trees anyway? For aesthetic reasons, health reasons, economic vitality, and well-being. Trees add a lot to our urban environment. So this portfolio web mapping application was created to analyze or maybe provide the users or the citizens or the constituents with information about the health of the trees in New York City. That is clear, but again, feel free to put your own words in there. All right, so now that I've adjusted the front page or the splash screen, I'm going to go ahead and launch this again, and let's take a look at it. Okay, launch, and there's our front page with our tree on there, our nice tree picture, and the text above it, and that's looking good. Now I can explore and see the two web maps inside the Portfolio app. There's the problems, and there's the tree condition. Very nice. So that is what you're going to do in this activity. You're going to create a set of two web maps. You're using the style to configure those, and then you're creating a portfolio web mapping application that actually houses or contains the two web maps inside of it. Then you want to be able to share that portfolio web map. So make sure that is shared with the organization. That's the URL you will share with your instructor. Thanks for being here, and I hope that was helpful.